everybody. Welcome back. I'm Kurt Roth, and this is the 505 Sports Venture Program, where weekly we discuss new things going on, developments in NIL, and what's happening at UNM Athletics, and the intersection of both NIL and UNM Athletics. I want to thank my producer, Adrian, who's behind the glass from Huntington Beach. Dodger fan. If I was a Dodger fan, I'd be a little bit worried right now, but we'll see. It ain't over till it's over. And then I want to thank Steve Davis up the stairs in the president's chair for giving us opportunity to talk to you every week about what's happening in our world and what's going on at UNM Athletics. We have a special guest, and we're going to get to him in a minute. We're going to talk some Lobo basketball right around the corner this month. You'll be back in the pit, standing and clapping, we hope. But the NIL situation is, we're really in an important spot, and I'm asking you for your help. Anyone who's watched recently has seen conference realignment, and you have to realize that UNM kind of got left out in the cold. And basically, as I've said before, we've earned that. That's not just the legislature, that's not the governor, that's all of us. We got there. We don't fund the university, we don't fund the athletic program sufficiently, or at least at the level to compete with 7 other schools in the Mountain West. 5 who left to the Pac-12 and 2 who got paid more to stay. So we need your help. The quickest route to success in athletics is on the field, and that's through NIL. So check us out, 505sports.org, 505sports.org. Anything you do to help is valuable. So sit tight. We'll be right back, and we'll be talking Lobo hoops.
What's going on, Lobo Nation? Ja'Cory Krosky-Mir here.
And I'm Devin Dampier. The Lobo football team is going through some changes, but we're here to stay.
We'll put in the work on the field and in the weight room, but we'll need your help off the field.
505 Sports Venture is leading the charge in the NIL space.
And you can be part of it.
You make my heart better. Shorty, she better than all my intentions. Locked in, shorty, you got my attention. See your baby, I get you the business. Touchdown and pay you a visit.
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro View. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on Pro View Networks.
We aren't all born with the same opportunities. But it's the people who care that change everything.
Get ready, Sprout, get ready!
My coach, my teacher, my older sisters, my grandma, my brother, my tutor, my dad and my mom.
As New Mexicans, it's up to all of us to do our part.
So that no child goes without love.
And no family has to do it all on their own.
They're all our children. Every single person is called to make a difference in the life of a child.
It's up to all of us to do our part.
To pull together.
Pull together.
Pull together.
To make New Mexico the best place to be a kid.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for being with us. We don't have as much time as I'd like because we could talk about Lobo basketball forever, but today for 20 minutes I'm pleased to introduce a familiar face to all Lobo basketball fans, associate coach, head coach Isaac Chu. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, you know, it's hard for me to believe because I just did a little bit of research this morning. Year number 4.
Yeah.
Man, does that go fast. I remember when, I met Richard in April after he got hired. Now, 4 years later, a lot of water under the bridge. But for guys in your position, the assistant coach, the associate head coach, life changes regularly. Like, you've been all over the place already. Relatively young guy. You've been like at 5 D1 schools, 6 D1 schools.
I've been around a bit.
Yeah. But that works. Yeah. That works. Where are you originally from?
I'm from Chicago, born on the west side of the city.
West side. Where'd you go to high school?
Graduated from Wales.
Okay. We know Chicago well. Our buddy B. Mace and his dad, Mean Gene. We know all about the education system up in Chicago. So I'm glad you're here. Anyway, all right. So season's right around the corner. You guys have seemingly been working forever. Freshmen came in June. You had a little bit of a break, and then July, and it's now full-time practice. So are we ready for our exhibition game against UTEP?
Not quite ready yet, but we're heading in the right direction.
Well, what happens now for Lobo fans? They see, and we'll get into this more, the portal, NIL, but we have a big change. We have a lot of new guys on the roster. What's the hardest part for the staff dealing with that?
I think the biggest thing is getting total buy-in and team chemistry. I think that's why we brought our guys in earlier. We had all the guys were here in June and July, so we got an opportunity to spend time with them on and off the floor to learn personalities and kind of, as a staff, we had to figure out what works for us. So as we go through this process, offensively, what do we want to do? Defensively, what do we want to do? What culture do? How we're establishing our culture. So it's a process for us as well. And now that we're getting closer to games, we're kind of getting it more streamlined to what works for this team day in and day out.
Now, everybody's asking, and, I'm not going to put you on the spot individually, but when you've got a full roster of guys coming back, like Hugh, Braden, who didn't play that much, and now you've added a whole new collection. Is part of this deal trying to decide just on a rotation? I mean, you're not going to play 13 guys. So, how does that work?
It's impossible to play 13 guys, but we feel like what we've done this year is add a lot of really good competition. And we think, obviously, iron sharpens iron, so we think that we have a very deep group. And so we don't know our rotation yet, but we feel we're getting more and more comfortable with the guys at certain positions. Like I said, we're still trying to work through some kinks, but the competition has been really, really good.
So we're working through kinks. That's what we call them. I've seen some of those kinks in practice. Yeah, you got to work. You got some work to do on some kinks. All right. So now you kind of establish a rotation. One of the things that everyone notices about this year's talent roster, if you're at practice, is the size. Last year we were guard-centric with 2 little guards. Great players. House, obviously. Mash, who I think kind of ended on a note that I wish hadn't happened. One of my favorite players of all time. Don't think he got the respect from the fan base that he should have. But anyway, that's editorial comment. I'm not, Coach the Shoe didn't say anything about that. Bigger team. What's the difference strategy-wise, or you expect to look completely different on offense?
Offensively, we'll be a little bit different. The one thing the House and Mash were both, I think they were both explosive offensively as individuals. Which was really good for us. We won a lot of games with those 2 guys in our backcourt. But I think now we'll play a little bit differently in terms of we'll still play fast, but we'll play with a lot more physicality on the perimeter and try to play a little bit more physicality around the rim. Just because I think in our NCAA tournament game, we realized that we need to be a lot bigger if we wanted to, try to progress as a program to get to the next level of championships, playing in the second weekend in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, again, the idea for me making the tournament, everybody wants to get to the Sweet 16. Well, you get to the Sweet 16 by making a tournament every year. Correct. You don't pop in. And let's say we all saw that Clemson was bigger, but they went nuts. They hit 3-pointers, and they went on a run. It wasn't one game. They kept going. Yeah. So that's part of the luck of the draw, I think. You can run into St. Peter's one year, who upsets the number 1 seed. You never know. But the key is consistency, get in a tournament every year, and then one day you're San Diego State. You're playing on Monday night. So that's the goal. I think we're seeing that if you guys, the season's around, so buy your tickets. But the team is bigger, much more physical. And the question is, where will the points come from as a fan? Who's going to score? Let me talk about one thing before we take our break. Last year at this time, Nelly wasn't even here. He wasn't even here. We were like, next week. Now he's here. He looks, I don't say completely different, but he's a much improved ball player.
No, he is, because he's had time. The biggest thing is that to get better, you need time on the floor. And I think that Nelly, as the season progressed, he got progressively better.
No doubt about it.
He was one of our best players in that Clemson, in that NCAA tournament game versus Clemson. But he had a spring and a summer with us, opposed to last year, he didn't show up until the day before the first exhibition game.
Right.
And so now he's like, because he gets to work in the gym with a structured schedule from day to day, now he's improved a great deal for us. We expect big things out of Nelly.
Yeah, I'm very impressed watching him in practice. Much more comfortable finishing, second nature. Nelly had some trouble. Some games the ball just didn't want to go in. He seems much more comfortable, and I think he's going to be a defensive force. Anyway, all right. We're through the first quarter. We're going to take a break, sell some stuff, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
If you're drunk, blasted, intoxicated, ripped, plastered, destroyed, bruh. If you're like this, you shouldn't be driving.
Hey, look! It's Dwight Goodman!
This place is hot. Let's see if anyone needs my help. How about I drive you madman home, huh?
I got this, Dwight. I'm the designated driver. Boom.
Sweet. Does anyone need Dwight's help getting home tonight?
No thanks, Romeo. I've got a taxi all lined up.
Drive safe, Dwight.
Boom! Boom!
Albuquerque's leader in sports is Pro View. From pros to prep. All your favorite action. All your favorite talk shows. Find it on Pro View Networks.
Hi, my name is Daniel Chavez, and this is my business partner, David Chavez. We are the owners of Indeed Safety. Indeed Safety is a local safety consulting company helping our clients with their safety needs for their projects.
One of the things we pride ourselves as a construction safety company is helping our men and women in construction get home safe every day to their families. Indeed Safety is a proud supporter of Pro View Network.
ProView Networks would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Hans Whitler Automotive, German car maintenance and repair in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Call 505-294-7684 or visit hanswhitlerauto.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm here with the 505 SVF program. Associate head coach Isaac Chu, a good friend of both our collective and obviously doing great things at UNM so far. All right, before we get, everybody wants to ask more recruiting and transfer portal. We'll get to that in a minute. But what's going on with the schedule? I've 53 years watching Lobo basketball closely. There's never been a schedule anything like this. So we'll talk individual games, but what is it like to prepare? You have to prepare differently than you would if you play Eastern, Western, Highlands, and State? How's it work?
Well, I think that for us, we still have to prepare the same way. I just think that, the schedule is to prepare us to be as best we can be in terms of a conference play. Right. And so, we do have some very tough opponents. However, I think that the guys would like the challenge. We get an opportunity to play, some of the best programs historically in the country. And so I think it'd be a great challenge for us to see where we at early on, earlier than since we've been here in terms of, because we play UCLA second game of the year. But not only the games against UCLA, VCU, St. John's, and what have you. I mean, some of our other games are going to be difficult as well. Nicholls State, won a bye game last year where they beat LSU. So we can't, and we talk about all these power conference games, but we also have some games in between there we got to win as well.
Well, New Mexico State's not going to lie down.
Exactly.
You beat them by 105 points the first game. You had to pull it out at the end. House and Dent making incredible plays. So we do get the Aggies one time at home. So that's cool. But hey, we've got an exhibition against UTEP. Open up.
Nicholls State.
Okay, and then
UCLA.
UCLA.
Yeah.
So, do you at this point you're not even really looking at UCLA? You don't. I mean, obviously you know who they recruited. They have a whole new team. Well, a much changed team. So you go from there. A few days, a week and change later, you're in New York.
Yes.
And then Thanksgiving, you're in Palm Springs with Arizona State, St. Mary's, USC. I don't know, wild, great chance. And then, as we were talking off camera, Virginia Tech, VCU's picked to win the conference. So it's going to be wild. But it's just, you basically approach it the same way.
Okay. We have to, in order to, we want to make progress every day. Putting one step in front of the other. So even, no matter who we play, we have to have the same approach. Now, it's understandable sometimes that guys try to, players try to look forward to the big games that they circle, but every game is circled as a staff for us. So we just want to prepare and obviously try to get better every day.
Well, we learned, Lobo fans learned last year when now we're in the tournament having to play 4 games, win the first game, and all of a sudden, okay, if we win the next one, we're in. We win the next one, maybe we're not in. If we beat Boise, we're in. We beat Boise, maybe we're not in. And we heard that if we didn't beat San Diego State, we wouldn't have been in, which would have been outrageous. But nonetheless, again, now the Mountain West had 6 teams go in. Didn't do that well, obviously. Now it's a struggle. You can't rely on that at-large berth. I mean, you've got to win every game you can, and then make some statement in these. I call it these 5 games, right? It's got to. The preseason is really, really important.
Yes.
So, how you put the team out there the way you would any other day, and see what happens.
Yeah, we just, like I said, this schedule gives us an opportunity to have more games that can, quote unquote, like boost our resume in terms of for the, when the time comes for the committee to make NCAA selections. But, we really can't look that far ahead. We do think that the schedule gives us some opportunities that we didn't have last season.
No doubt.
In the non-conference that could put us on a different, put us through a different view of the said committee when that time comes. But we still have to approach it the same way. We just have more opportunities than we did before.
Yeah, good point. More opportunities, and you never know. Like when you go back and look at last season and that potential of getting to the final and not getting in, maybe you go back and you look and you say, did that Air Force game at home was that the costly game, that one game that you can hiccup anywhere. Conversely, though, I assume that the ability to show in the preseason makes a big deal. Also, anything different with the full schedule, you're playing a conference game first week of December.
Yeah.
What is that? I mean, as a college basketball fan, I've seen that in the Big East, the ACC. It's not abnormal, but for New Mexico, it's strange.
Yes.
Is there any difference in that, preparing?
I don't think it's any different. The only difference is you have, say, because these teams have played less games now, because usually get the conference play, you've had, a larger total of games in terms of to do scouting from. So now I think we have a smaller number, but it'll be the same process, but we have less to evaluate in terms of how we prepare for that particular team that we open up with in December.
Okay, so it's still that, then the emphasis is on stick with the plan. Let's stick with our plan. We don't know for sure what we're going to see or what we're going to get the way we would in January.
Correct, because teams, obviously as the season goes on, you do more or you take some things out, what have you. That's a part of understanding what that team, how to prepare for that particular team.
Okay. All right, so we can't talk about any closed scrimmages, so we won't talk about that. That doesn't exist. You didn't hear it from me. UTEP in 2.5 weeks, boom, and then another home game, the season opener, and then UCLA. A lot of work to do. As your confidence level?
My confidence level is high.
Yeah.
I like our group. I think that this group will compete. I think this group has more size than, like I said, we had in the past. And I like the chemistry of this group as well. So, again, I think for us it's about the progress and the process of getting better every day.
Okay.
Because I think the product will be better the further we go along.
Well, you have so many. You have players in transition, learning the system, learning each other. From the sidelines, looks like a great group. Seem to get along. A lot of talent, but you got guys who want to play basketball.
We do. When we have a great group that are always in the gym working. Our guys have been relentless workers, and I think Coach Patino stressed that when we first took the job, as he wanted to recruit basketball players, guys that want to live in the gym and put basketball first, along with academics. But we've tried to recruit to the level of guys that have good character, great work ethic, and guys that want to do the right things. And those guys live in the gym. So that's why we think that we'll progressively get better because those guys work.
Yeah, and we're going to take another break, but this isn't wood, but I'm going to knock on it. Very healthy team so far.
So far.
One day at a time. All right, everybody, we're going to take another break. We'll be right back with Coach Chu. Stay with us.
Hi, my name is Ruben, and I'm with the New Mexico Educational Assistance Foundation. We are proud sponsors of high school and college sports. Either college or trade, we can help you find the funding you need. Go to nmfafsa.org. That's nmfafsa.org.
I'm a Blaze King customer, and I have been for the last 10 years. Blaze King stoves are very efficient, they're easy to maintain, and they use a lot less wood than you would typically use with a fireplace.
Blaze King, that's a fire.
The heat is on when it's a Blaze King wood stove, controlling heat up to 40 hours on a single load of wood with a built-in thermostat. See for yourself at either Blaze King showroom, Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Blaze King, and now that's a fire.
We've been trained, conditioned, and rewarded for doing more. But people weren't designed for all that doing. Our bodies need to settle into nothing from time to time. Into nothing at all. In a world obsessed with doing more, we invite you to undo.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Got shots. Got shots. Got shots.
During Got Shots, participating providers open their doors for any child who presents for immunizations, regardless of whether they are a patient or whether they have insurance.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Final segment here with Associate Head Coach Isaac Chu. We're talking Lobo Baskets. Couple of weeks away, the season starts. And what everyone always wants to ask about is recruiting. All right. We have verbals from 2 kids, but that's not official till what, November 7th they can sign, somewhere there?
The second week in November.
Second week in November, sign. And when you get those verbals, the recruiting of those guys doesn't stop until they sign. And even after they sign, you stay in touch with them. Mm-hmm. But you recently were out in California kind of keeping in touch?
Yeah, I think, as I've said, recruiting is fluid. And so it's all about building relationships and maintaining them. And so we can't take for granted anybody that's a part of our current roster now, or that we think that will be a part of our roster moving forward. And so I've always said recruiting is 24/7, 365. It's something that you have to do on a consistent basis to gain trust and to just have an understanding of what's going on always around the people that help the kid make the decision, or the people that have an influence over the person that made the decision.
So we've got 2 verbals from 2 really good guards. Is it possible we sign another high school player, or are we just kind of waiting to see what happens?
It's always fluid. High school recruiting is always fluid. So yes, it's very possible we could still take some other commitments here.
Because we just were talking about it off camera. It looks like the NCAA is going to reduce or shorten that portal time at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So that's the only time the portals is really impacts college baskets, is right at the end of the year, correct? Correct. And so we went through that last year. I'm not going to talk about any names, but that was a torturous process. You don't know until midnight that day. And we also don't know what happens with this season. So we will have, obviously, some graduates. We have got guys who eligibility will be up, mm-hmm. but it's still, you're not focusing on a position or a type. You're looking at basically best player going forward.
Right, yeah.
Who fits in, obviously.
Right now it's all about who fits and just who makes us the best team we can possibly be.
Okay, so the biggest difference you've been in this game a long time, a lot of different places. NIL is a whole game changer.
Yes.
Yeah, well, so how does that work now? We work well together, a lot of communication back and forth, but what would you say is that always the first question? Is there a how much, or what's available, or obviously that you couldn't even talk about that 3 years ago.
Right. I think it is very important. Obviously, I think it's as I've said before, you've been very instrumental in terms of things that we've been able to accomplish here with our program, and so we're very grateful for you and all you've done. It's one of those things where I think it depends on the individual. High school kids typically don't ask as often, or it's not as important early on. Transfer, it's a very big deal. And so, but it's all based on the individual. But NIL is so important because for a lot of kids, it could sway their decision or what they think they could accomplish at certain schools. We try to keep it about basketball. We try to make sure it's a good fit for us. And then we try to work around the other pieces. So.
Well, we also seen it's changed the high school game. Like you said, the high school kids are now grateful to be recruited, where in the past it was all about building, and kid had to sit out a year. It was hard to transfer. You could kind of rely on it. So that the science of basketball recruiting is completely different. You guys are doing a great job. Obviously, Lobo fans, a lot to be excited about. We're a couple weeks away. GoLobos.com. If you haven't bought your tickets yet, go do it, because this team is going to be just smoking hot. All right, before we leave, a couple of questions not related to Lobos. Who's the best basketball player you've ever seen?
Seen with my own eyes?
Seen with your own eyes.
I would say played against. I would say Michael Herman.
Michael Herman from
Chicago.
Okay. What happened to Michael Herman?
He went to Indiana as a freshman. Didn't really work out. Transferred a couple of different times. But he's probably the best player I ever played against.
Okay. Who's the best NBA player you've ever seen?
Michael Jordan.
Anyone over 30 says that, and then these kids want to tell us about LeBron. Hey, listen.
I think LeBron's really good, but for me, it's always been Michael Jordan.
Listen, I think now, I used to say Bill Russell had the greatest career, and he still may have with all those rings. I think LeBron's career is incredible. At this age, to be functioning, he's done what he's wanted. He's won some championship, the longevity leading scorer. But if you saw Michael Jordan down the in any game, but down the stretch, to me, he's the greatest team player I've ever seen.
Yes.
In any sport. I didn't see Babe Ruth, and I think Muhammad Ali was a better athlete, because I think of what he went through to be what he was. He's the greatest athlete in my life. But Michael Jordan, I don't think anyone's close to him. You got to take the last shot. You want to put it in. I don't think there's anything close. Anyway, all right. So what do you think? We finish in the top 3? No, I won't tell you. I'm not gonna. And we win 4 out of 5. No, I won't. I'm not going to ask you those questions. I think we're going to be one of the top 2 teams in the Mountain West. I think we're going to do very well in those first 5 games. And I have like 30 people in my family coming to Madison Square Garden. I can't wait till we smoke St. John's in the Garden on a Sunday afternoon.
I'm not getting into any of that.
I didn't ask any of that. I don't want to get tweeted at by Rick Pitino this afternoon. Like, what are you talking about? Anyway, I want to thank everybody for staying with us. We're going to be back next